Hi, it's General Stotts, and I wanted to talk a little bit about our course today. What are we going to do today is talk about why the course. We're going to go over the course outline, and we're going to talk about getting started. There are many reasons why we put this course together. Just a couple are our world and our Army runs on software. Software provides immeasurable value through security, automation, scalability, and to support the Army Futures Command and other Army units that have software development requirements, the U.S. Army Reserve Innovation Command has to have some in-house expertise to do app development. Also, quite frankly, it fits with our principles. If you think about parent principle, being professional, this is one of those professional skills that a soldier in today's Army needs to know how to do. From a Stafford principle, be creative, this is going to open up the door to so many different fun applications, which leads to the final one, which is the Peterson principle, which is have fun. So this, I believe that you will find, some of you are probably a little nervous about this, quite frankly, but by the end of the course, I think you're going to find that coding and app development in particular is quite fun. And that's part of why we picked the MIT App Inventor platform. It's super easy to use. It's probably, if you have kids at home, it's probably something that you could actually do with your kids. So I wanted to talk about the course a little bit, not only in laying out what the classes are going to be, but also about how we're going to comport the course. As you can tell, because you're already watching a video, we're going to do it in such a way that it's going to take about 2 hours a week. We figure that there'll be somewhere between 15 minutes to half an hour of watching video and hearing about what you're asked to do. Then you'll want to go to the MIT App Inventor site, look that material over, and almost all of these challenges for the course, they're not really all that challenging, but they won't take you more than an hour max of coding time, even if you've never coded before. So the interesting thing about the App Inventor environment is it's essentially drag and drop. You're taking puzzle pieces and they'll only fit together in ways that will work inside the program. And you're taking those puzzle pieces and you're creating applications based on the flow of data. So there'll be, and what the other thing we're going to do, myself and my course co-teacher, we're going to hold office hours, as it were. We'll set up times during the week in the evenings when we'll be online on MS Teams or Zoom, depending, probably MS Teams, because I think everybody has MS Teams now in the Army. And we'll just be hanging out and able to answer questions, be able to share our screen and do things if you need a little assistance with something. But honestly, given the caliber and quality of the great people that we have attending this course, I suspect that you'll probably never ever need any help. But if you do, we'll be there to guide you. So 10 lessons. The first one you're already in. It's going to be an overview, getting started, setting up the development environment. Then the next one, lesson 2, is going to be an opportunity to actually create your first application. And it's going to be how to create a magic 8-ball. You remember when you were a kid, you probably saw one of those things, you shake it and you turn it, and you ask a question and it gives a random answer to it, right? You're going to learn how you can do that using App Developer. Then in lesson 3, you're going to learn how to do mole mash. And what happens is it's whack-a-mole, really, but we can't use that because it's, trademark term. But not us can't use it. MIT couldn't use it. So you're going to figure out how to create a little icon that's a mole that pops up at random positions, and then you're going to hit it. And you're going to hit it not, well, I guess, well, I actually probably shouldn't hit it, but we're thinking about, mouse clicks, or you touch it, touch screen, because the application environment you're going to use is either going to be your own Android or an emulated Android. But if you don't have a touchscreen, then it probably means you'll be using mouse clicks. And then the fourth lesson will be no text while driving. And this module is going to teach you how to create a text message answering app that auto responds to incoming text while you're driving or at a meeting. So how cool is that? I mean, that's actually really, really useful. Then lesson 5, you're going to learn how to use a photo booth app. So you're going to learn how to take pictures and modify them, and that's kind of cool. And then 6th, you're going to learn how to actually use some data with and the application is specifically going to be a chat app. Then in lesson 7, you're going to learn about how do you do geospatial reckoning. So it's called Map It, and you'll learn how to use Google Maps to display locations. Then lesson 8 is going to be an introduction to JavaScript. You're going to get under the hood a little bit and actually modify. Up to this point, you've mostly been using just puzzle pieces and some basic kinds of adding variables and that kind of thing. You'll be doing a little bit more with JavaScript, which is actually what all of the apps, at least in the Android world, are written in this one, in lesson 8. And it's going to show how to use blocks instead of traditional programming language, and also how to use Java code in your apps by means of new extensions. So something to look forward to in lesson 8. And then in lesson 9, you're going to learn how to use Firebase, which is probably already on your computer somewhere, by the way. There's a lot of things that already use Firebase. So if you do any music production, for example, and you have any of the Magix, M-A-G-I-X applications, they actually use Firebase to do the tracking in real time when the application is running on your desktop. And then somewhere between 9 and 10, and this is open right now, so I'm not going to talk 100% about 9 and 10. We're going to put you together in teams, and we're going to let you guys develop an application, and you're going to do it virtually and remotely. So you'll be working with each other, sharing code, etc. from a distance, which is a lot of the way that code development actually works in the real world. You know, the office might be in London, they may have a shop in New Delhi, they may have another shop in Tokyo, they may have something in the United States, and those teams work together to create actual applications. So we'll have a chance to practice that as well. So that is the course outline. And with that, I'm going to show you how to set up the environment. The remainder of this is going to be actually a screen capture from my personal system. So here we go. All right, so you will see in the course notes that it instructs you to go to this location, this URL, and you see it there. And then this is what the page looks like. And the first thing it's going to want you to do is visit this location. So if we go ahead and open that link in another tab, it goes there, and then the first thing it's going to want you to do is sign into an account. Now, if you don't have a Google account already, you're going to need to go here to create account. All right, so at this point, you're signed in to the app Inventor, and because you've either created a Google account or used an existing Google account. By the way, if you want to create a special Google account just for this, as long as you have a free email address somewhere, you can certainly do that. So now we'll just kind of go through. The first thing was just to get this open so that it will keep a copy of what we're doing here. And next thing is we'll click on Setup Instructions. And here we go. Here's the 4 options you have for setting up live testing. So it recommends 1 or 2. So I do not know what kind of a personal setup you have. I have an Android device. Well, it's got to be an Android device that you actually have the authority to put apps on, right? That's important. If you have a government-provided Android, you may not be able to run it on there. The other thing you can do is you can create an emulator. And if you go to our website, and you'll all have been given that by the time the course arrives, it will tell you how to set up an emulator on your computer. And then again, if you own your Android device, you could hook it up in a USB with a USB cable to the computer. So why are you doing this? You're all doing this so that once you build your app, you can actually test it and see what it looks like and give you some feedback. So very, very important to do that steps, and it talks you all through the stuff here. All right, so that was first thing. Now it's going to ask us to go through a designer and blocks editor overview. So we're going to go that, and that will explain what there's this block palette over here, and there's properties and the viewer, and I want you to go through it on here too, but I'm also going to show you that as part of the course. So I'm not going to tell it to not show me this again, because sometimes actually interesting information comes up. I didn't realize they were up to release NB 18.4. That's actually quite a little larger. So let me explain the interface a smidge while I've got you here. So first thing is, up at the top, you've got these drop-down menus. This is kind of like a file thing if you think about using Word or Excel or something like that. So it starts off, you can import, you can export, you can save, etc. So very, very important. Connection. It's talking about connecting your program that's in the App Inventor with whatever device you're going to test it on. And whether that's the AI Companion is an app that you actually put on your phone that allows you to scan in a barcode that lets you run a program. Then there's the emulator, which is just something operating on your desktop that looks like a Android phone. And then again, connecting your Android device with USB cable. So the USB cable option for sure, you can only do if you own the device. Don't be plugging in your government device. That's not okay. I'm not telling you to do that in this course. The emulator for sure, because you'll be doing it on your computer, is going to work. And I don't honestly know if AI Companion, it varies today, tomorrow, the next day. It could all be different. But the safest things to do the emulator, or if you own your Android device, you could do either AI Companion, which is downloading an app. It's cleverly called AI Companion, or you could hook up the USB once you've got your developer options set up. Okay. Then build. Build is the kind of the last phase before hooking it up or testing it out. This is kind of in reverse order, I guess. This is once you have your application all built, and then it allows you to create the package, these APK packages that will actually allow you to install something on another machine. Settings just the way it sounds, and there's nothing on here that we need to change. Help is help, right? So it's got all of these things you can do. And by the by, the help's gotten, my golly, I don't recognize the help from the way it was several years ago when they first started this thing off. Then my projects, it's just another, it's kind of like this, right? It's just a quick way of getting at that. All right, so I'm gonna start a new project just to show what it's like. So you can call it anything you want, and then you just bring that up. Now let me talk about the rest of the screen. So we've talked about what's up on top already. These are things that you will drag from here over onto our imaginary application. So we're not going to do any programming today, but just as an example, if I wanted to put a button, some way to interact over here, I would have this button. And then what you see, what happens over here is, now in the component tab, it shows that for this first screen, and guess what, you can have multiple screens, right? There's a button. And then farther over, if I get all the way over here to the right, it's got the properties of my button. So if I don't enable it, for example, this button wouldn't show up over here when you try to run it. If I do enable it and I tell the full font to be bold and I can tell it to be italic, notice that it changes over here. And then I have the text for the button. This is I don't want to get into all the different things now, because we're going to study them as they go on. But there's obviously a lot of things you can do to change this, and we're going to be dealing with these kind of things all the time. But you notice that there's all of these things that are set up already that you don't have to do anything with. You can just drag and drop them. So that's something else to look at. Beginner tutorials. And I recommend that you go through some of these tutorials. I think that this making Cody the bee, even though it's damaged, you can download this Adobe Acrobat file and do that. I recommend going through a few of these just to see how to do it. The ones I recommend in particular are Hello Cody, which is it's a little bit of a joke, because whenever you take a computer programming course, the very first program you start, I think it started at University of Michigan back in the 70s, was you'd write Hello World, right? That's the whole thing. So Hello Cody is kind of a spin-off on that. A little bit of computer science history for you there. And then I might do the text-to-speech just because it's kind of fun. So I recommend these three. The only one you have to do, I would recommend you do Hello Cody, for sure. And then if you want to do Talk to Me part, 2 parts, I recommend you do that. And if you want to do the other ones, you can do that as well. But if you just do those things, you will have met our training objectives. So you're going to go through setup instructions. You are going to go through design and block edit overview, although I kind of give you the basics already. I would do the first tutorial for sure, but probably the first 3 just to be safe, to make sure you're doing it. And then I recommend you go through this packaging and sharing apps, because this is going to be how you test your app out. Now, we're not writing production apps right now, but at the same time, I'm going to need you to know how to test your app and make sure it's working and do input and output, etc. So with that, I'm going to close her off for this particular session. And I want now, as a homework assignment, I need everybody to go out, go to the site, make sure your account's set up, go through the tutorials, etc. And we'll let you know when the office hours, the virtual office hours are going to be. But thank you all very much. I really appreciate you being part of the course. I think you're going to learn a valuable skill, and I think it's going to be quite a lot of fun as well. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys. Have a great day. I need to come up with some kind of catchphrase. Maybe you guys can help me out. I don't know if it's like happy coding or whatever we're going to say, like happy trails. Anyway, I'm going to leave that as a class exercise. You guys figure out what we want our catchphrase to be. All right, have a great day.